Imagine a silent revolution unfolding all around us, reshaping the very foundations of dating and relationships. It's not loud, it's not violent, but its impact is seismic. For decades, men have been implicitly expected to chase, to provide, to prioritize female attention above all else, often regardless of the value returned. This unspoken contract, woven into the fabric of modern dating, dictated that male effort was a given, and female attention was the ultimate prize. But something fundamental has shifted. Men are opting out. They're disengaging from the chase, withdrawing from the validation game, and choosing to invest their energy elsewhere. They are, for the first time in a long time, unapologetically prioritizing their own purpose, peace, and self-respect. And the quiet panic among women who've never known a world without automatic male validation? It's no longer quiet. It's becoming a roar. This isn't about hatred or division. This is about observing a profound societal recalibration. It's about understanding the psychological tremors caused when long-held expectations collide with a new reality. We're witnessing a generation of men, empowered by information and a renewed sense of self-worth, deciding that the cost of entry into many traditional relationship dynamics is simply too high. And for those who have historically relied on that automatic male investment, this shift is triggering an unprecedented level of anxiety, confusion, and frustration. Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on this phenomenon. We'll explore why this great disengagement is happening, the specific behaviors and mindsets that are driving it, and the palpable panic it's causing in the dating landscape. Most importantly, we'll uncover what this means for both men seeking genuine connection and women navigating a world where the old rules no longer apply. This is a story of consequence, of choice, and of the powerful, often uncomfortable, truth emerging in modern relationships. 1. The Great Disengagement. For generations, the script was clear: men pursue, women are pursued. Male attention was seen as a resource to be expended, a currency to be spent in the relentless pursuit of female approval. But a profound change is underway. Men, en masse, are beginning to opt out of this traditional validation game. They are no longer willing to be the primary emotional and logistical providers in relationships that offer little in return. This isn't about rudeness or misogyny. It's about a conscious decision to redirect their energy towards self-improvement, purpose, and genuine connection, rather than chasing validation that often feels fleeting or conditional. This shift is rooted in a growing awareness among men that their worth is not solely defined by their ability to attract or please women. They are recognizing the immense personal cost of constantly seeking external validation, the emotional exhaustion, the financial drain, and the erosion of self-respect. Social media, ironically, has played a dual role here. While it initially amplified the validation game, it also exposed its performative nature and diminishing returns. Men are increasingly seeing through the curated facades and recognizing that the pursuit of superficial attention often leads to deeper dissatisfaction. They are choosing to invest their attention in areas that offer more tangible fulfillment, be it career advancement, physical fitness, hobbies, or strong platonic friendships. This disengagement is not a tactic, it's a reprioritization, a profound shift in where men believe their value truly lies. 2. The Indifference Test. To truly grasp the scale of the panic, observe what happens when an attractive woman encounters a man who simply doesn't register her presence as special. Not rudely ignoring, but genuinely uninterested. The typical reaction is a gradual escalation of effort. She might stand closer, laugh louder, find reasons to initiate conversation, or subtly highlight her availability. When these initial attempts to elicit a reaction fail, confusion quickly gives way to frustration, and then, often, to anger. What's wrong with him becomes the unspoken question, because the idea that he's simply not interested is often incomprehensible. This indifference test reveals a fundamental vulnerability. For many, The expectation of male attention has been so deeply ingrained that its absence triggers an immediate crisis of identity and influence. The tools that have always worked, smiles, hints, beauty, subtle flirtation, suddenly prove useless. This isn't just about a missed connection, it's about the collapse of an entire worldview where their presence alone was enough to command attention. The man who simply doesn't care isn't a problem to be solved. He's a mirror reflecting an uncomfortable truth about the limitations of relying solely on external validation. This experience forces a confrontation with a reality many have never faced, that attention is earned, not owed, and genuine interest is inspired, not demanded. 3. A lifetime of effortless attention. The roots of this panic run deep, often tracing back to childhood. From a young age, many women have been conditioned to receive attention for merely existing. Smiles elicited treats, tears brought comfort, and beauty often unlocked privileges and preferential treatment. This isn't a criticism, it's an observation of a pervasive societal dynamic. When this pattern is reinforced over decades, the expectation of automatic male attention becomes deeply internalized, evolving into an unconscious entitlement. Then, suddenly, these women encounter men who don't respond to any of it. The established tools, once reliable, are now ineffective. It's like someone who has always had a trust fund suddenly being told they need to interview for a job. The entitlement was so profound they didn't even recognize it as such. This isn't about men being mean or difficult, it's about a generation of men who have learned to value their own time and energy, and are no longer willing to indiscriminately dispense attention to those who haven't earned it through genuine connection and shared value. The loss of this automatic influence triggers a profound anxiety, because for many, true indifference from a man is an entirely new, deeply unsettling experience. It forces a recalibration of self-worth that was previously outsourced to external validation. 4. The crumbling validation machine. Social media was initially heralded as an endless fountain of validation, a digital playground where a selfie could garner hundreds of likes, and a clever post could generate a flurry of appreciative comments. For many, it became a primary mechanism for reinforcing self-worth and maintaining a sense of desirability. However, the validation machine is now showing significant cracks. Men, as part of their broader disengagement, are increasingly checking out of social media, or, perhaps more painfully, scrolling past without engaging. The likes are fewer, the DMs are scarcer, and the performative attention is diminishing. For those who have become addicted to this constant stream of digital affirmation, this breakdown is akin to withdrawal. Their primary source of external validation is drying up, leaving them with an uncomfortable void. The experience of posting increasingly curated or revealing content, only to be met with silence or indifference, can be deeply unsettling. It exposes the fragility of a self-worth built on superficial metrics. The loss of social media as a reliable validation mechanism is forcing a confrontation with an uncomfortable truth, that digital attention, while intoxicating, is ultimately fleeting and often disconnected from genuine human connection. The panic here is an identity crisis, as the perceived value they derived from online engagement evaporates, leaving them to question who they are without the constant affirmation. 5. The old playbook fails, when manipulation meets self-respect. For a long time, certain women have relied on an unwritten playbook of relationship leverage, withholding sex, manufacturing drama, creating emotional chaos, or threatening to leave. These tactics, designed to control and manipulate male behavior, worked precisely because men were conditioned to chase, to appease, and to fear the loss of female attention. However, this old playbook is now failing with increasing regularity. The reason? Men are developing options, establishing clear standards, and most importantly, cultivating an unshakable sense of self-respect. These men are no longer willing to be controlled by emotional games or sexual withholding. When confronted with manipulation, they are increasingly willing to walk away, demonstrating that their peace and dignity are non-negotiable. The threat of "I'll leave" loses its power when a man is prepared to respond with "okay." The dramatic emotional outburst loses its impact when met with calm indifference. This shift in male response is causing strategic panic because the accustomed tools of influence are proving ineffective. It forces a realization that true connection cannot be manufactured through control, and that a man who respects himself will not be held hostage by another's emotional volatility or manipulative tactics. The old playbook is being rendered obsolete by the rise of male discernment and self-worth. 6. The confrontation of self. When the usual tools of manipulation, tears, threats, manufactured jealousy, or sexual leverage, cease to work, a profound and often brutal confrontation of self can occur. If these tactics have been the primary means of navigating relationships, their failure leaves a void. What's left? The actual person, stripped of their performative strategies. And for many, this exposure reveals a deep personal insecurity, a realization that they may not have developed a personality or inherent value beyond these manipulative tactics and their external appearance. This isn't to say that all women lack depth, but rather that a reliance on external validation and control can stunt genuine personal growth. When a man refuses to react to flirting, crying, or even direct threats, it forces a woman to ask, "What else do I bring to the table?" This moment of introspection can be incredibly painful. It challenges the very foundation of how they've perceived their own worth and their role in relationships. The panic here isn't just about losing a man, it's about facing an uncomfortable truth about themselves, about the skills they've failed to cultivate, and about the genuine connection they may have inadvertently sabotaged by relying on superficial or manipulative strategies. It's the moment the mask slips, and the real work of self-development begins, whether they choose to embrace it or recoil from it. 7. Cognitive dissonance and the having it all myth. A significant source of panic stems from the profound cognitive dissonance many women are experiencing. They've been told, and have often internalized, the narrative of having it all: a successful career, a vibrant social life, global travel, and a perfect partner who simultaneously fulfills traditional roles while embracing modern equality. This narrative, while aspirational, often fails to account for the inherent trade-offs and biological realities of life. Consequently, many are now simultaneously trying to maintain a fiercely independent, feminist persona while panicking about men not pursuing them traditionally. They want to be chaste, but don't want to seem chaseable. They desire traditional courtship, but vehemently reject traditional gender roles. These contradictions create a system failure, a psychological gridlock where conflicting desires clash with an evolving reality. The panic arises when the having it all myth bumps up against the hard choices and consequences of life. Men, on the other hand, have often learned early that life requires trade-offs. This disparity in understanding, combined with the shifting relationship dynamics, creates a painful realization that the promised all might, in fact, mean nothing if not carefully navigated with honesty and self-awareness. 8. The biological clock versus appreciating value. One of the most acute sources of panic, particularly for women in their late 20s and 30s, is the undeniable reality of the biological clock. While men can often father children well into their 50s and beyond, women face significant biological challenges and declining fertility after 35. This fundamental biological inequality creates a time pressure that men simply don't experience, profoundly impacting negotiating power and life choices. Adding to this, men's value in the dating market often appreciates with age. As men mature, they typically accumulate more resources, gain greater experience, build more confidence, and achieve higher status. The boring accountant rejected at 25 might be a CFO at 35, now dating a younger woman or having sworn off relationships entirely. Meanwhile, for women, their perceived sexual market value, a term often used in dating analysis, referring to attractiveness and youth, can be seen as depreciating during the same period. The panic isn't just about loneliness, it's about the consequences of past choices colliding with an unforgiving timeline. The woman who spent her 20s pursuing exciting bad boys and rejecting stable partners is now, at 34, frantically trying to secure a provider, only to find that the desirable men her age are either taken or have moved on to younger partners. This entitlement recalibration is brutal to witness, as the reality of diverging value trajectories becomes undeniably clear. 9. The parallel economy of male attention. As men disengage from traditional relationship dynamics, they are not simply retreating into solitude. Instead, a robust parallel economy of male attention is developing. This economy is characterized by men investing their time, energy, and emotional resources into pursuits that bring them genuine fulfillment and purpose, often entirely independent of female validation. This includes gaming and hobbies, deep dives into video games, elaborate board games, creative pursuits, or outdoor adventures. Brotherhood and community, stronger bonds with male friends, men's groups, and shared activities that foster genuine camaraderie and support. Self-improvement, dedicated focus on physical fitness, career development, financial independence, and intellectual growth. Purpose-driven pursuits, volunteering, entrepreneurial ventures, or contributing to causes they care about. This parallel economy is draining resources from the traditional attention economy, where women historically held significant sway. Men are discovering that happiness and self-worth do not require constant female validation. They are finding fulfillment in their passions, their friendships, and their personal growth. For women who depend on the traditional attention economy, this shift is causing strategic panic because the very resource they relied upon is being redirected, making them realize that men have viable, fulfilling alternatives to engaging in what often felt like a high-cost, low-return relationship game. 10. The intergenerational warning system. Perhaps one of the most revolutionary aspects of this shift is the emergence of an unprecedented intergenerational warning system among men. Historically, men often navigated relationships in relative isolation, learning through trial and error, often at great personal cost. Now, thanks to social media, online forums, and a growing culture of open discussion, men are able to compare notes globally. Older men, particularly those who have experienced divorce or difficult relationships, are actively warning younger men about the pitfalls and manipulative tactics they encountered. Divorced fathers share their horror stories, offering insights into legal and emotional traps. Younger men, in turn, are internalizing these lessons, developing a powerful immunity to manipulation through overexposure and shared experience. The information asymmetry that once allowed certain female manipulative strategies to work is rapidly disappearing. Men are learning to identify red flags, understand psychological games, and recognize when their boundaries are being tested. This collective knowledge sharing is empowering men to be more discerning, more self-protective, and less susceptible to the old playbooks. The panic among those who relied on these traditional strategies is a direct consequence of this information revolution, as men are increasingly prepared, aware, and unwilling to play a game they now understand. The brutal adjustment. The adjustment period for this societal recalibration will be brutal, particularly for those who are least prepared. Women who have never had to develop a compelling personality beyond their appearance may find themselves having to become genuinely interesting. Those who have never learned to compromise may have to negotiate. Those who have never had to pursue may find themselves chasing. The panic isn't about the changes themselves, it's about being profoundly unprepared for them, and about confronting the consequences of past choices and ingrained attitudes. This resolution requires a level of honesty that many will find deeply threatening to their ego. Admitting that female sexual value, in the context of the dating market, can depreciate over time while male resources and value often appreciate. Admitting that certain narratives about relationships were, in fact, misleading. admitting that men have inherent value beyond their utility as providers or emotional punching bags. This honesty is the gateway to adaptation, but it requires dismantling deeply held beliefs and confronting uncomfortable realities. The men in this equation are not trying to cause panic. They are simply living their lives, working on their purposes, enjoying their hobbies, and building their value. The panic is a byproduct of men discovering they don't need female validation to be happy, fulfilled, and successful. This profound discovery is revolutionizing gender dynamics, shifting the balance of power in ways that were previously unimaginable. A message for women: the choice to adapt. If you find yourself experiencing this panic, ask yourself honestly, what are you truly offering that deserves serious, unwavering attention and investment? If the answer is simply your presence, or a set of demands born of entitlement, then your panic is, in many ways, justified. The future belongs to women who understand this shift and choose to adapt. It belongs to those who develop actual value beyond their sexuality, who bring peace and support instead of drama and demands, who appreciate instead of criticize, and who cultivate genuine connection over superficial games. These women are not panicking because they are too busy being chosen by quality men who recognize and reciprocate their value. This is not cruelty, it is correction. The market is adjusting from decades of artificial inflation, and genuine value is once again commanding its price. A message for men: the power of discernment. For men, the message is simpler: keep building. Keep growing. Keep maintaining your standards. Your indifference to manipulation isn't cruelty, it's self-preservation. Your standards aren't misogyny, they're self-respect. Your disinterest in drama isn't dysfunction, it's discernment. Continue to invest in your purpose, your passions, and your genuine connections. The wall of indifference you are building is impenetrable because it is not active rejection, it is simply genuine disinterest. You cannot manipulate someone who doesn't care. You cannot negotiate with absence. You cannot drama your way into attention from someone who has chosen to prioritize their own peace. What we are witnessing is a fundamental restructuring of gender dynamics, and the panic is just the beginning of a long, necessary adjustment. The truth is, attention is earned, not owed. Interest is inspired, not demanded. Investment is attracted, not extracted. And men, for the first time in a long time, are choosing to be the architects of their own attention economy. I want to hear from you, gentlemen. Have you noticed this panic when you don't respond to manipulation? Have you experienced the confusion when you maintain your indifference? What happens when you simply refuse to play the game? Drop your experiences in the comments below. Let's document this shift in real time, because understanding it is the first step towards building a future of more honest, respectful, and truly valuable relationships for everyone.